Hey everybody, Sean Wheat here, and we are so glad you're here for Lincoln, and just a heads up, we are actually streaming on Facebook Live for the first time today on the 1011 Facebook page because there's a lot of people who haven't had a chance to introduce to our video podcast, but I'm Sean Wheat, and I am joined this week by my special guest co-host, and I'll explain that whole thing here in a second, by Eric Harms, owner and CEO of Wellspring Behavioral Health.
You got it.
It took me a minute to get out there.
That's
it's not
okay.
like I do broadcasting or anything like
Right.
that. But Eric is my special guest co-host because every single week on Lincoln, I bring in a special guest co-host to do the show with me, and we talk about something going on in Lincoln, be it connecting it with behavioral health, or we have had a foodie on. We've had somebody who does dash cam videos on TikTok from Lincoln and various other things. So every single week it's about connecting Lincolnites with other people from Lincoln, services and fun things and organization groups. It's all about Lincoln. It's all together because we live in this great community. We should talk about this great community. And I actually come to the show as a new Lincolnite because I was from Topeka. And just for everybody's reference, if you are seeing this for the first time, I am a seasoned journalist of 20 some odd years. I'm not going to do too much here, but I've covered everything from the State House to in Kansas to the White House. I've interviewed presidents to first ladies to a whole bunch of other people, just the average Joe on the street and much more. But I'm not a journalist when I do this. I do this as an average Joe because I'm not a journalist anymore. I am somebody who just sits down and talks to people about what's going on. So, Eric, introduce yourself to the fine folks of Lincoln.
Awesome. Thanks for having me. My name is Eric Harms. I am the owner and CEO of Wellspring Behavioral Health. We actually just celebrated our 6th year in practice just last month, so that's awesome. And Wellspring, we offer a variety of behavioral health services to the community, and that's really what we do, everything from children all the way up to adults, geriatric, families, couples, medication management, a little bit of everything. So that's who I am.
All right, and we're glad to have you on Lincoln this week. All right, so the big thing for us today is World Mental Health Awareness Day.
Yes, World Mental Health Awareness Day.
We're going to get into that here after our first commercial break. And the one thing I always like to do is talk about something interesting or topical that is not related to the topic before we get started. And today, the first thing we want to talk about, and you said you're a big baseball fan, and I'm so glad you said that because my kids have seen them. I have not, but it is Savannah Bananas are coming to Lincoln. This is on the 1011 website. As you can see, Savannah Bananas swing into Memorial Stadium, Haymarket Park next summer, and this is huge. They just really started getting a following. My kids actually have seen, one of my kids has seen Savannah Bananas when they weren't so popular. Now that
live?
Yeah, live. It was easy to get tickets. They were giving away to school kids. And
cheap.
Now it's like, oh my goodness, there's a ton of people who want to see Savannah Bananas and it's your chance to see them. Memorial Stadium coming up June 13th of next year. It's exciting.
Very. I'm assuming they're going to do it at Memorial Stadium and not Haymarket Park.
They're doing both.
Okay. See, didn't even know, but just the volume. I've never seen them live. Mm-hmm. I've only seen them on TV. Now you can watch them on act like a baseball game on TV. So it's really, really cool. I have 2 kiddos that play baseball, and that'll be something that we'll definitely have to check out.
So they're going to do it at Memorial Stadium on June 13th, but the first game is actually going to be at the Haymarket Park on Thursday, June 11th, and at 7 o'clock each day. The Bananas will face against the Firefighters in both games. They're apparently known for their fast-paced, high-energy take on baseball. Banana Ball keeps fans entertained with nonstop action and a few wild twists, including one of its most famous rules: if a fan catches a foul ball, it counts as an out.
You're out.
But then there's dances, too. Have you ever seen them on TikTok with their dances? They're just dancing.
I've watched some live games, and it makes me think of like the Harlem Globetrotters.
That's exactly what I said.
Yeah, of baseball. So that's super cool. Even the umpires get into it. They dance. I mean, it's a complete show. So it should be entertaining at the very least.
Matt Rule tweeted out is it a tweet or X'd out I don't know what it's called anymore, a picture of Savannah Bananas. And then the Huskers shared this cool artwork here, and you can see it. Oh, I got to get your name off there. We're not talking. let me hit this button here. You got to see a little bit of behind the scenes there. By the way, for those who didn't know, when it comes to the show, I'm doing all the switching here. So if there's a mistake, it's all me. But yeah, Savannah Banana is coming to Lincoln coming up in June. And we are very excited, obviously, because it's just a fun thing for the kids to do. But there's a lottery you have to be a part of to get your tickets now.
Well, I'm not surprised. I mean, I have seen the stadiums. They're packed every broadcast I've ever seen. Mm-hmm. They are jam-packed. I don't know how much more fun you could make a baseball game besides having fans catching balls be outs. It's exciting, just to watch a regular baseball game and having a fan catch a ball. But when it impacts the game, it's even cooler.
Oh, well, I've only seen their TikTok stuff. I see how fun they are. I see the passion they have behind the game, the show. It's just pure entertainment.
Yeah, and baseball is hard enough alone, mm-hmm. let alone having a guy come out like 10 feet tall on stilts. Yeah. Or, doing a backflip and then pitching a pitch. I mean, it's insane. Some of the stuff they do and come up with is super creative. Well,
I'm obviously not the most physically fit person in the world, so I probably
that makes two of us. Yeah,
myself, but still doing a backflip and then being on stilts, and then they're doing jigs and whatnot, and then pitching, and
it's insane.
The umpires even get into it. I saw.
Yeah. The umpires dance. They interact with the crowd just as much as the athletes do, and it is a full on show.
So if you get a chance if you haven't seen Savannah Bananas, if you're not familiar, just get on YouTube if you're watching us on YouTube, or get on TikTok, or go to the 1011 website and search for Savannah Bananas and check it out. It's really, really cool. Plus, details on how you can get tickets are on the 1011 website. But I'd have to say that was the biggest thing in Lincoln yesterday when it was released. Everybody was like, I gotta get tickets. I gotta get tickets. I think I put myself, my two kids, and everybody else I could think of in the lottery.
Well, I need to get in the lottery. I'm late to the game.
Oh, you gotta. So the lottery is still open though if you want tickets, but they announced a lot of dates. I know I got alerts from Wichita, and as you see here, wait, I'm not on it yet again. But if you notice here on the page, they also tweeted out they're at Gillette Stadium in Massachusetts, among other places. So yeah, they made a lot of announcements. All the details, of course, are on the 1011 website, 1011now.com. Just search for Savannah Bananas. All right. So we take a break, and we're going to come back. We're going to talk about the big topic of the day, and it is, as we said, World Mental Health Awareness Day. There was a walk this morning. Details on that on 1011.com, but a huge day for us to talk about because it's not talked about enough. It really is not talked about enough. There's a stigma around it. We're going to get into that. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a 1-minute break, and then we will be back with that. And Eric here, because this is his specialty, this is what he knows. I don't know it. I can't talk about mental health. I've got mental health issues myself. Who doesn't? But so we're going to talk about it because it's okay. It's okay. It's going to be okay, and it's okay to talk about it because there's nothing wrong with it. So we'll be back in 1 minute. Don't go anywhere. This is Lincoln. And welcome back to Lincoln. I'm Sean Wheat along with Eric Harms. And of course, we are here talking about Mental Health Awareness Day, and it's the World Mental Health Awareness Day. And as I said before the break, it is all about talk. You got to talk about it.
Have to.
So the title of today's show is "Get Out of Your Head." Get out of your head about mental health, because if you're stuck in your head about it, if you think you know anything about it, you probably don't. Because if you think it's a bad thing, if you think talking about yourself and your problems and the things you've been through is a bad thing, it's not masculine enough, or I'm embarrassed, or whatever it may be, you got to stop. And yeah, this is me as just some Joe Schmo telling you on Facebook and YouTube and on 1011's website to not worry about it. So what are you going to take my word for? But I've got a professional with me. That's why Eric is my special guest co-host, because we got to stop being so scared, don't we?
Yeah, we have to talk about it. The only way to decrease some of that stigma is to talk about it. And so it's super important. You're not alone if you're going through something. I think people have to remember that mental health impacts every single one of us, whether it's directly, whether it's a loved one, of a friend. It impacts us some way, if it's not you individually. But most of us at some point in our life would qualify for some kind of mental health diagnosis. You know, it can be something as not simple, but, you know, transitioning to a new job causes a lot of stress. Moving, maybe you're moving, or your kiddo is transitioning schools, things like that. You're going through divorce, you lost a pet, some things like that just impact you. And then you have obviously the more biological, chemically induced things that, you know, we can talk more about that too. But so it affects all of us in some way, shape, or form.
Why do you think there is that stigma? Why do you think people have that in their mind, is that if you share your problems with somebody, you're burden on them, or you're putting a burden on them, or if you share too much, it's embarrassing? Why do you think that stigma's there?
Yeah, I think historically it's always been there. And the reality is mental health treatment hasn't always had the best reputation. If you think about some of the things that used to happen way back when, lobotomies and all kinds of things, we kind of got off on a bad foot, right? So, you know, there's tons of research, ongoing, continuing research to develop new techniques or strategies to help people deal with their mental health. So I think that, and then there's just some parts of mental health that are really difficult to talk about. Like you said, people feel embarrassed to talk about it, or, you know, they're ashamed, or you brought up, you know, being masculine, and we kind of have this culture where men shouldn't talk about feelings. Well, that's not true. Men's mental health is one of the most underrepresented populations. Why? Because men typically just don't want to talk about it so much. And there's a lot of those different things. But the reality is, you're right. We have to talk more about it. We can't be ashamed. We can't be embarrassed. We all go through stuff, and you're not alone.
Yep. And see, I've heard the saying that it takes a real man to talk about his feelings. I know that there's so many different ideas that a man has to do this and he has to do that. He has to provide. He can't do this. He can't do that. And it's just really scary. And I was brought up the same way. It took a lot for me to learn it's okay to talk about my feelings. It's okay to talk about my stresses. It's okay to talk about what's troubling me, or that event or that thing happened. And then I was shamed for a while because I showed feelings. I cried, or I did something. And, and that's, it's shown as emasculating to even have feelings as a guy. And I'm talking about guys. I mean, this
applies to anybody. It's difficult for everybody to talk about. Yeah. And so whether you're a guy, whether you're not, it's really irrelevant. You know, that just happens to be a part of, you know, some of the cultural things that we have to deal with. And there are cultural differences, you know, related to women as well. But ultimately, if we don't come together, right? So like, I love like this World Mental Health Awareness Day, right? Because mental health does not discriminate against gender. It doesn't discriminate against sexuality. It doesn't care where you live in the world. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter your race. It doesn't matter your religion. It can impact you. And so we have to talk about it, and we meaning all of us.
I want to say that there is one, how do I put this nicely? I want to say that there is one way it does discriminate monetarily.
Sure.
It's hard.
Yeah.
It costs money.
And we were kind of talking about that before the show. Is mental health treatment is expensive. It just is. And so, even if you have insurance, sometimes your insurance doesn't cover mental health treatment. And we start with weekly a lot of the times as people come in, right? There's some huge pressing thing that they want to talk about. And a lot of times we start out weekly. Well, if that's costing you $100, and sometimes it's more a week, you're talking about $400 plus a month. And so if you're already stressed out about work, your relationships, whatever it is, adding another stressor doesn't help that either. So there are a lot of resources in the community that offer sliding scale. We offer a private pay rate, like if you don't have insurance, where it's a little bit more affordable for you. But there are other community resources that offer free. We offer some free. We do. We actually have a partnership with a hospice house, the Grace Space here in town, where we have one of our providers go out and meet with people kind of at the end of their life and their family, and how do we support them through those final stages and things like that. So there are resources. I would really encourage you to ask if you're having a financial hardship. Ask your therapist, ask your medication provider, ask those people what they can do to help reduce that barrier.
And we kind of talked about the embarrassment side of it.
Sure.
Because it's embarrassing. Maybe you did something to a partner that you were very embarrassed about, and you don't want to talk about it because it brings up the memory for you because you committed that thing that was really hard on your partner.
Yeah, you hurt somebody.
You hurt somebody, basically.
Yeah.
Or maybe it's because you have a certain preference that you like that's maybe out of the norm.
Sure.
It's all available. And how does somebody overcome that embarrassment, not necessarily on the guy side, but just also because the event or the events or the things that have happened are just embarrassing? How do you get somebody to open up and say, I can talk about this, I'm in a safe space, I'm going to be okay?
Well, I kind of goes back to just knowing that you're not alone. We all have stuff. It's part of the human condition. We make mistakes. We hurt people. We hurt the people that we love the most. And that's just part of being human. And so just recognizing that it's okay to make mistakes and wanting and desiring to learn from the mistakes. I think what's most important is not making the same mistake, right? Or at least working on it so we're not repeating the same mistakes over and over and over again. And so if you're whatever it might be, just realizing like, hey, it's okay to make a mistake and I can learn from this and I can grow from this. I think that's really the place to start, and wanting to be different or be better or learn how to communicate more effectively, whatever that is, having that desire to do that is a really great place to start.
Oh, I love what you just said about communicating better. I think that's I'm going to come back to that because I want to go back to why do we hurt the people we love the most?
So there's a saying that hurt people, right?
Yeah.
And so that's a common thing. If you think about bullying or things like that, a lot of times internally we have something going on with ourselves that we don't like, or we're feeling some type of way, and we project that onto people that we love. Why those people? Because we know they love us too, right?
It's a safe space situation, right?
It's much safer. I know that if I come to my son, my partner, and I hurt them in some way, that the chances of them leaving me or retaliating are much lower than if I just go off on you right now. You'd be like, well, we're not going to have Eric back on the show. You know what I mean? Right, it's one of those things where those people, you're right, they're safe or safer. It happens, right? You could have a blow up with a family member and then never talk to them again. But it's much less likely. So we hurt the people that are closest to us because we hope that they don't leave us.
Yeah. Okay. I got you. And by the way, it's also National Bullying Awareness Month.
Yes.
So that's another thing is, okay, so there's the behavioral side of kids, even adults. I don't want to just...
I know more adult bullies than I know children bullies.
But there are behavioral issues, and I actually did a story a long time ago in Topeka where teachers have to evacuate classrooms. They have to, actually put hands on kids to stop them from hurting other kids.
Sure.
And there's huge behavioral health issues with some of these kids, and How do we combat that? And I want to remind everybody that there are counselors in those classrooms. They are working hard. Teachers are getting extra special training to combat those things. But there's something you have to do at home. If you say that, oh, the school will take care of that, it is not just the school's responsibility, it's yours. And that's where behavioral health comes in.
You know, the school's focus, understandably not blaming the school, but their focus is at school, right? School hours. And their concern is the safety of that child and the safety of everybody else in the classroom. So, you know, their resources are also limited to what they can do or what some of their experiences are or trainings are, those kind of things. But, you know, again, somebody who's bullying somebody more often than not has some internal turmoil that's going on, rather it's self-esteem, rather their parents are going through something and they're feeling that at home, and then they're coming to the school and unleashing some of these things. So sometimes it is difficult to have these conversations with your children, with your family, with your partners, about like, hey, this is kind of where we're at, and this needs to change, and how can I help you, or how can you help me, or how can we help our child, you know, get through this tough part of their life.
You know, we're going over a lot of subjects here, and there are just so many that we could cover and talk about, but it's so difficult to be able to in the short amount of time we have. We can sit here for hours.
Days. Yeah, months, weeks.
And there are years upon years upon years of people sitting down and talking about these issues.
Yeah.
And there is still no right answer. And that's the other thing about mental health. It's an ever-changing field.
Always.
And how hard is it to keep up with the changing?
Yeah, it can be difficult. You know, as a licensed therapist, there are CEU requirements, right? Continuing education that we have to meet to maintain our licensure. And so a lot of providers seek this education in areas of specialties and things that they're really interested in. And so that, you know, it's impossible. You know, we have like our foundational, like Sigmund Freud or, you know, Gestalt or things like this where you've heard of. And some of those foundational things don't change, but, you know, people are unpredictable, and when you or I were in school, we're talking about bullying, right? So when you or I were in school, and then you think about like what that was like versus somebody today, like what your kids go through in school, it's completely different. Mm-hmm. And so, you know, the social norms and expectations and, you know, whether it's from families and sports and whatever, the pressures of that just continue to mount on some of these younger people. The good thing is I do think that the younger population now has more access, and there is less of the stigma. They're more willing to say, hey, this isn't right, or hey, something's wrong with me. I want help or need help. And so I think, you know, big picture wise, we're moving in the right direction. Yeah. It just takes time.
You know, I just realized I have not mentioned that if anybody out there has a question for Eric or myself, it doesn't matter. If you're on YouTube or Facebook watching on the 1011 Facebook or YouTube page, drop a question. I'd be happy to. This is live. This isn't recorded. So if you have a question that you want answered, Eric is able to help out. Obviously, do not make it about your own issue. Please seek a professional. Yes. But if it comes to mental health in general, don't hesitate to drop a question. We'd love to answer it for you. But the other thing, okay, we talked about kids, we talked about adults, we talked about what are we missing? What are we missing here that many people don't think about that they can get help for?
Anything. I mean, that's the reality of it. Really, is you
talk about job stress though.
Oh,
that's a huge one.
Job or performance.
Yeah.
I mentioned athletes. Both my kiddos play baseball. Mm-hmm. The pressure outside to perform, even from me, I'm not perfect as a parent, I'm not perfect as a therapist or any of those kind of things, and so I know that I've put a lot of pressure on my kids to perform on the baseball field or in the classroom or whatever those things are. And so, you know, it really is endless, the amount of topics or things that could make somebody want to go to therapy, rather it be your job. You know, we work with people in law enforcement and some of the things that they have to deal with or see every day. Yeah. You know, I mean, that's crazy to think about, right? Or have to try to compartmentalize, like I'm home. And I think that's, either law enforcement or even mental health providers is we know some of the deepest, darkest secrets or things that people hold.
And it's all safe. First of all, that's the main thing. It's all safe.
Well, there's a few caveats, but yeah, it's confidential, right? Unless we're concerned about your safety or the safety of somebody else or the safety of like a child. But yes, your deepest, darkest secrets are safe as long as we're following those rules. So, and again, even if you're not safe, it's okay. You should talk about it. It's okay to talk about, suicide is a huge thing that, again, that I feel mostly right now that's a huge topic, and that one still really carries the stigma with it. Is suicide, and that's a difficult thing to talk about. And again, that's days and months of conversations and all those kind of things too. But it really is important to open up and talk about those things, and that'll be one of the things on our top 5 when we get to that. But even if you're it's okay to not be okay.
Yeah.
It's okay to not be okay.
That's the main thing I was hoping to get across to everybody. It's okay to not be okay.
And we are all not okay sometimes.
Yeah.
Like that's part of being a human and a person and dealing with life. Life can be really, really, really hard.
I mean, I was having a heck of a time yesterday myself personally. I'll share. I don't mind talking about it. It's like yesterday I was thinking about finances, and I was like, oh man, I am feeling really down.
Yeah.
And it's tough. That's one of the major things, obviously, is finances. Next is relationships. Next after that is I did something wrong. I'm sure.
Yeah.
There are just so many avenues, but I was not okay. And then being able to talk about it and knowing that I was safe and in a good space, that the finances were scary.
Yeah.
So it's okay. Let me build on that. And again, if anybody has any questions, we don't have any questions yet, but finances. Would you say that's probably one of the biggest? I know for a lot of guys, when it comes to suicide and the thoughts of suicide, it revolves around finances. Maybe they've lost their job. Maybe they can't do this. Maybe there's a bill or an unexpected thing. I don't know. Would you say finances was one of the biggest things, or is it hard to say?
It's hard to say. I think with the finances and the masculinity, the thoughts or feeling of being inadequate, and it's my role as a man, and I'm this is part of the social part, right? It's my role as a man, as a father, to care for my family. Yeah. And if I can't do that, what is my value? Yeah. And so I think that ties into that sometimes. And I think a lot of guys have
had those thoughts.
100%. Yeah. I've had that thought, right? Like, well, if I can't support my family, like what do I do? Yeah. But again, there are resources and support out there to help you navigate that. So I would say relationships, and when we're talking about relationships, maybe not just like your partner, but relationships are with your children, your boss, or your coworkers. I would say work might be one of the top topics or common themes that we see a ton of is just work, the stress of work, the stress of the performance at work, the financial aspect of work, relationships at work. Anytime you get a lot of personalities together, that can be difficult to manage.
And so all the stuff that he mentioned right there, there's help for it. There's somebody to listen to you. And then sometimes a counselor doesn't even have to say much of anything. It's just talking about it that gets it off your shoulders.
Yeah, there are some
huge.
Yeah, obviously we have techniques and interventions to help manage stress. Like we can talk about coping skills, right? If you're coming to me and telling me how stressful work is, well, we're going to talk about how are you going to take care of yourself, right? But I'm also just an open ear to just listen and validate your concerns, and like you said, just let you talk about it. Sometimes just talking about it can be so helpful. Because we hold it in. We're so, again, kind of nervous or scared that we're going to be judged. So we just hold it in, and then we bottle things up, and then sometimes we just have to let it out. And so that can be really helpful to work on. That would be something that, you could work on, is not letting things build up.
I think that's also one of the biggest things is you guys listen, where maybe a lot of people who are your friends are just listening to respond. They don't understand what you're mainly
Yeah.
doing. That's why it's important to go to a professional. But if you can't get to a professional, monetarily
Yeah.
reasons or monetary reasons, or just because there's no time, or because you guys are booked up.
Yeah. It can be difficult.
It can be. So having that friend to vent to, but if you're that friend who's taking on the burden of listening to a friend, you gotta listen to listen, not respond. Now, obviously, they solicit saying, "Okay, what do you think? What are your thoughts?" Sure, then maybe you can give your 2 cents.
Yeah.
But also preface that I'm not a professional. You need to go see a professional. But for the meantime, here are my thoughts. But just listen to listen.
But you're exactly right. And even when I work with couples, I will tell them I want you to listen to understand. Go intentionally listen to understand, not to respond. And so if you have a friend that's reaching out to you, obviously you're concerned. Listen to understand. Just listen and help them, guide them, and we'll talk about that. What's one of our tips too. But listening to understand is really important.
I've always loved that saying, is listen to listen. I can't tell you how many times I've had to myself. Everybody has, I'm sure, when we're just talking to that one person and they were like, "I just want you to hear me.
Yeah.
Just hear me."
Yeah. And sometimes they don't want you to say anything.
Yeah.
And that's okay.
That is exactly okay.
Totally okay. And sometimes it's, are you open to feedback?
Yeah.
Or do you want my opinion? Do you want my suggestions?
Again,
And just
that's
asking.
solicitation.
Yeah. And if they say no, hey, I'm still here if you
That's
need me.
all right.
That's okay.
Exactly. It's okay not to have the right response either. I mean, sometimes you as on the other end, you're listening to this person and you're thinking, how can I help them?
Yeah.
But you are already by just
listening. Yeah.
And that's what we need. I always loved the saying human kindness, because being just a good, decent human being, listening to when somebody needs to listen, is a huge thing. So we'll talk about that in the top 5 for sure.
Yeah, that, and just if you think somebody's not okay, ask them.
Yeah.
Hey, how you doing? Are you doing okay? Just check in. I just
don't overdo it though. That could get annoying.
Yeah, but they would rather know that you care, right? And I think it was a suicide commercial with veterans, and I don't know if you guys have seen it, but the guy, he's knocking on the door, just checking in, right? He just thought something was wrong, and he's just checking in, and so it's okay just to ask. And a lot of times, there are people who just want somebody to ask. I don't know if you're familiar with Kevin Hines. He jumped off the Golden Gate Bridge in California and survived, which is a miracle. And he talks about pacing the bridge, and he just wanted one person to stop and ask if he was okay. And had somebody done that, he would not have jumped off the Golden Gate Bridge. Wow. So just ask. It's okay to check in. It might be uncomfortable, but that's okay.
That's a lot of great stuff. Anything that we're missing out on that you really want to touch on?
I don't think so.
It's a lot of the stuff.
It's a ton of stuff.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff, and they can help you out at Wellspring or any of your, any behavioral health specialist.
Yeah.
But I love the guys at Wellsprings. Eric's great, and he's got a great staff. I know them. They even have Theo the dog.
Theo the therapy dog, which is I don't know how therapeutic he is. Yeah, sometimes he's very therapeutic, and sometimes I'm like, dude. But yes, and that's a huge that's kind of ties into the next segment as well about kind of getting connected, but animals are a huge way to do that too.
Yeah, but I love Theo. I'm so glad he's there, because that's the first thing I look for when I walk in. I don't talk to the ladies up front. I like, where's Theo?
Yeah,
I gotta see the dog.
And here he comes running around. That's what he does. He makes his rounds, says hi, and then he's back to the office.
Love it. All right, we're going to take a quick break. We got our top 5 things you can do at home to treat your inner zen, your top 5 things you could do for yourself when it comes to your mental health. That's here in a minute. Of course, and if you've got a question, don't hesitate to leave it in the chat in either Facebook or YouTube, but we'd love to get your questions. Otherwise, there's a bug in front of my face.
I saw him too.
Yeah, that was weird. All right, Lincoln comes back in a minute. Do not go anywhere.
Yeah, I saw that gnat.
And welcome back to Lincoln. I'm Sean Wheat, along with my special guest co-host, Eric Harms, and he is with Wellspring Behavioral Health, and we just talked about a whole bunch of stuff. But now we have to get into our top 5 of the week, and I do this every single week. It's our last segment of the show, where generally my guest co-host comes up with the top 5 or whatever the topic is, and this week it is top 5 ways to improve your mental health yourself. Things you can do at home to help yourself until you can see a professional. But see a professional if you need to. It's
Absolutely.
not a bad thing.
Nope.
So we will start off with our first one, number 5. Eric, this is your part.
Okay, getting connected. So we kind of talked about that. Well, I guess we've been talking about that, is getting connected, whether that's with friends, that's with family, your pet. We kind of just mentioned that. Get connected. If you have a book club, if you have a church group, whatever, it doesn't matter what it is. Just getting connected, spending time around people, hopefully with some common thing that you guys have in common. Laugh, be around people that you enjoy can be super helpful. And again, they're there for you. They want to help you if you want the help. And so don't hesitate to reach out to the people that especially are closest to you and ask for support.
All right, number 4.
Establishing a routine. And so this can get a little difficult, but just starting with the basics. Some people with mental health struggle with just the simplest things like getting out of bed, showering, eating meals consistently. So it doesn't have to be this huge, like your schedule, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be some huge elaborate thing. Start with the basics, getting up at a certain time, having breakfast, if you're going to work, if you're going to the gym, whatever it is, get a consistent routine. It's predictable. Remember, you can always change your schedule if you need to, but it gives you some sense of consistent routine in your life that can be really helpful. It's predictable.
And force yourself to stick to it.
Yes. We call opposite action. So when you're in bed and you're like, God, should I get out of bed? You should get out of bed. Or like, do I really need to eat breakfast? You should eat breakfast. I know he's gonna get you.
That gnat is
yeah,
back.
Yeah, he's gonna get you.
I didn't know my breath stunk that bad. All right, number 3.
Just getting outside. So we know there are lots of benefits of being outside. Being outside releases a lot of those happy chemicals in your brain just naturally. It's the sunlight, the increased oxygen, and all those kind of things. So if you have a park that you like to go to, Lincoln has tons of trails, things like that. So if you want to go for a walk, but you don't have to be physical either. Just being outside, sitting on your deck, having a cup of coffee, reading a book, whatever it is, just be outside. That can really help you.
All right, coming in at number 2
is just move your body. And that doesn't mean you have to go to the gym for hours every day or multiple times a week. Stretch, go take your dog for a walk. Anything, just stay moving. Those kind of things, again, the more moving we are, releases those happy chemicals. The exercise and endorphins makes us feel happy. I know it's hard because I'm not a huge exerciser either, but
have you seen me? Come on.
I mean, again, take your dog for a walk, play with your dog, stretch. It doesn't have to be a time-consuming thing. It doesn't have to be a super intense thing either. It can just be something very minimal, but build that into your routine.
Yeah, as I said, have you seen me? By the way, Ozempic needs to be cheaper.
Yeah.
Thank you, insurance companies. I'm giving my opinion. I'm not a journalist anymore. I'm allowed to do that.
Yeah.
I'll only do it on a couple of things, and that's one of them. But yeah, moving is hard. It's so hard.
It can be. And sometimes you just have to force yourself to do it.
Yeah, you do. Force myself to do it. All right, coming in at number 1.
Setting boundaries. Okay. And so this is multifaceted. So boundaries could be, I need to set boundaries with maybe my partner and say, hey, look, maybe we're having a hard time communicating, something like that, where I need maybe my partner to step in and do more. Or boundaries with colleagues at work or your supervisor at work. Or sometimes our closest loved ones are also one of the biggest stress creators. And so sometimes we have to set boundaries with people that we love, and that can be really difficult, but it's for our own benefit. And again, boundaries can change. It's not like I'm going to cut you off and I'm never going to see you again. Sometimes just having a conversation and saying, hey, here are my limits, here are my expectations, and this is what I need out of our relationship. And again, regardless of what kind of relationship that is. So set some boundaries with those folks and take some things off your plate can be really helpful.
Interesting. Okay. I got to when somebody sets a boundary as a why. I got a weird question for you. Some people set boundaries sometimes, and it seems like it's a punishment, or they're taking something away that's normal, or they're using it to get under your skin. Have you heard of that happening before?
So I think it's really important that if I set a boundary with you, the point of me setting a boundary with you is not to irritate you. It's not to frustrate you. It's to maintain my own mental health, my own stress, those kind of things. If somebody loves you, if somebody respects you and they care about you, they will respect that. If they don't, it's kind of a red flag.
Yeah.
Right? So again, I'm setting a boundary with you for my own personal thing. And so if you take that personally, that's kind of a you thing too. Right. Okay. Now, I'm totally responsible on how I set that boundary. Right. So if I'm coming at you and I'm calling you names or whatever, not cool. But ultimately, if I'm trying to set a boundary with you, let's assume where I'm doing that in a healthy way, or at least attempting to do it in a healthy way. That's because it's something that I need. It's not about you. It's about me.
I've heard of people using boundaries as like, oh, well, you're not going to do this for me. Well, I'm going to set this boundary. And I've heard of it being weaponized in a sense too. So it's really hard for somebody to if it's coming from the heart. Yeah. And you got to see it for what it is. And that's setting a boundary because you need it for your mental health.
Right.
If you're just setting a boundary just because this person is pissed you off, that's not necessarily setting a boundary. That's a punishment.
I think it depends on how you do it, right? If you come to me and you hurt me, it's 100% okay, and I should come to you and say, hey, you kind of stepped over a line when you said this to me, or when you did this, that really bothered me. And so in order for us to move forward, this is kind of what I need from you and what I need from our relationship.
Oh, lots of great advice today. Eric, you are a man of many talents. I really am so grateful that you've been here today to talk about this. But the overall message that we're trying to get out to people is that it's okay to not be okay.
Yep.
It's okay to seek help. It's okay for every individual, for, as you said, regardless of sexual preference,
doesn't matter,
marriage status, relationship status, whatever,
religion,
it doesn't matter. There is help, because I say we like I'm a professional at this, but I mean, honestly, when I say we, between you and I, overall, just want to make sure that people are okay.
Yeah.
And that they get help, because I've heard people say before that it would just be easier if I wasn't here.
Sure.
And it's easier for you, but it's not easier for the people you love.
Yeah.
It's not easier for the people who care about you, that want to see the best for you.
And sometimes when people are kind of in those spaces mentally, it's really hard for them to see that, right? Like how if I'm not here tomorrow, how that might impact somebody that I love. And so again, check in on somebody if you're worried about them. Have that conversation. Most people, and again, we could talk about suicide for a long time, but most people that are suicidal, you have to remember, they don't want to suffer. They don't want to experience pain. They're experiencing turmoil, right? So it's not that they don't want to be alive. It's not any of those things. It's that they want the pain to stop.
Well, then what are your thoughts on when somebody says, oh, they're just doing it for attention?
Well, I think that is an unfortunate stigma. Yeah. Right? I think that's part of the stigma. And so has it ever happened? Of course. People are unpredictable. People engage in all kinds of behaviors for attention, all those kind of things. But the vast majority of people wouldn't end their own life to get somebody's attention. I mean, if you actually think about that, you're not getting any attention if you end your own life. Yeah. There's no attention to be had. And so, again, if you're worried about somebody, reach out. If you're having those thoughts, reach out. You're not alone. There's plenty of support where you can get that are free. Just reach out. And then, of course, if you know somebody who's going through a tough time and they stop communicating with you and you think they need help, do not hesitate to call 911. Yeah, absolutely. And at the end of the day, I would rather somebody I care about be with us and be mad at me that I maybe called 911 or intervene in some other way, because we can work through that. Yeah. We can't work through it if other things happen. All right. Well, Eric, thank you so much. Of course. You've been a great co-host. Well, thank you. I love it. And you know what? This topic was brought to my attention because, I was in the counseling office and I said, we need to talk about something. Sure. And Eric brought up that it's World Health
a Mental Health Awareness Day. So it's like, perfect. We're going to talk about it.
Let's do it. Let's talk
So
about it.
I need ideas for the show. It's all about linking people in Lincoln together with organizations, groups, whatever it may be. I don't care if you have a band and you are going to be playing at the Grotto coming up. I want to know if you want to be a guest co-host like Eric is on my show. Do not hesitate to get a hold of me on X. It's at LNL Sean. That's L link in. And then apostrophe. Well, anyways, LNL Sean is how you get a hold of me, or sean.wheat@graymedia.com, or you could just hunt me down. I'm probably somewhere around the city. I'm always driving out and about because I love this community. I'm all about community, and that's the reason I started this show. So I want to know what's going on in the community. Please let me know. I'd love to have you on. For those who are watching on Facebook for the first time, we do this every other Friday, and I'd love for you to tune in. We're probably not going to keep putting it on Facebook. We'd rather for you to go to the 1011 app, website, or Roku app, or Apple TV app, or YouTube, or whatever it may be.
Some app.
Yeah, because you saw during the commercial break, there was a slate saying you'll be back in 1 minute, so we got to make money to keep this going and kind of keep the lights on. This takes a lot. So
And they're bright.
they're
a lot of lights.
They are very bright. But, it's all about community, the show. And did you enjoy yourself? Did you like it?
I loved it. Yeah. And again, we could have one of these once a week for maybe eternity.
I told Eric he needs to start his own podcast.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Putting a lot of pressure on
After
him.
doing this, I don't think I would be. But the standards, the bar's been set way too high for me to try.
Trust me, the bar is low. I mean, there are people who sit at this desk every single day that do a lot better job, and then my job is to teach people how to do this. So I said when I started the show, I got to start the show so I can teach people how to do it. And that's when what's the saying? If you can't do, you teach.
Yeah.
I want to be able to do and teach.
Yeah.
So.
Well, yeah. I'm impressed. I've been asking all kinds of questions, and he's got all kinds of gadgets and hooked up. I had to help him with the TVs, but that's okay.
Yeah, he did a great job. I had a great assistant. Your
whatever.
assistant
That's fine.
Assistant to the regional manager.
Yeah.
No, a great guest co-host. So I'm definitely going to have to get you back on, though. That's for sure.
Would love to have
all right.
the opportunity.
Love to have you on. All right, guys. Thank you so much, and gals, and everybody in between. We really appreciate you. If I don't see you another time, please make sure you check up on your friends, check on your neighbors, check up on the ones you love, because it's okay to not be okay. All right? Eric, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, have a good one. This is Lincoln. We'll see you next time.
.1011 News is everywhere. Download our smart TV apps and follow us on social media at 1011 News.